What was the hardest part of the med school application process for you?
I don't remember a lot of the details, but I do remember one conversation in particular. I was sitting down with a guidance counselor in undergrad, and I was explaining how I had this real interest in research. I was working in this neuroscience lab, but I also had this real desire to, interact with patients. And so the research I've been doing was clinically oriented, as much as you could have as an undergraduate student. And and I'd heard about MD PhD programs, these dual degree programs. And I'd also heard that they were extremely competitive. And for whatever reason, I found that really deflating. And I was just like, oh, well, scratch that off my list. And then this guidance counselor, she was like, well, yes, it is competitive, but you need to go out there and be a competitor. And like, I just remember that entire conversation. And I thought about that a lot. So that was probably the biggest thing. After that, it became a little bit easier once I started to perceive myself as a competitor instead of, I don't know, whatever I was doing myself as before that.
I recently attended a webinar given by the head of Stanford Graduate Business School's admissions. Actually, I think she's a director at the Graduate Business School's admissions. And the Stanford Business School has a 6% acceptance rate. It is the hardest business school to get into in the United States. And somebody asked about that, and she said, look, we have a self-selecting group of people who are willing, who find the benefits so appealing that they are willing to invest in themselves and take the chance in order to have that benefit. That's part of what defines the Stanford Business School student. They all know the acceptance rate, and they all say, I'm going to compete.
Yeah, which I think it's just a conscious thing that you have to do. I honestly don't know what I was thinking before that. I mean, there were probably a lot of things in my mind, like, I don't know, coming from a small town and all that, mentality. But, when push comes to shove, if it's competitive, be a competitor. Because that was really sound advice that I think about now.
Right. You don't have to reject yourself.
Yeah, right. Let them reject you,
right.
or whatever. Writing the essays was interesting. I went through a lot of essay writing, and I had some friends who were better writers than me help me with that. The Mcat actually, so this is something that might be, encouraging to some of your listeners, that I am a terrible multiple choice test taker, like very, very bad. I get very anxious taking them because I always feel like there's more than one right answer, even though it's not true in theory. And so I ended up taking the Mcat 3 times. And I think the first time I took it, I got a 24, which was not good, as you know.
Right.
And then I think I got a 28, and then I got a 31 after that. And I probably would have taken it again, but I just ran out of time. So yeah, each time I think, the anxiety of taking a test, knowing how to answer the test is helpful. And also the first time I did it, I didn't even know that review courses existed. I just never really occurred to me, I guess. And then finally I found a copy of the Kaplan, the review books, the ones that there's like 2 parts and each of them are like thick. I just went through that, and that seemed really helpful.